Hi, this is We Go Up to 11. This is Vick LaCar. Listen to Witch's Brew on every platform.
Why
don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Good catching up with you. Yesterday I had somebody that I was supposed to chat with, and they picked the time and the date, and then they didn't even show up. So go figure. So I'm like, but you know, what they did have in common with you is that they're basically promoting their own work. So it gets kind of tough, I think, when you're doing it yourself and being like the publicist and the PR person and all that kind of stuff. So
it's a pain.
It's a pain. But I think when the music's good though, I mean it definitely.
Well, I think it's take a lot and then take a little at the same time, but then you're taking a lot more because you're not just doing everything yourself. It's like the publishing is mine, the publishing company is mine. So I don't have a record company telling me what to do, how long the song is, how short it is, or what to play,
right.
and telling me and taking most of my publishing, you know.
Right.
So I highly recommend that part for any musician, you know.
Now that end of things, I mean, how did you get wise to that? Is it just from previous experience or watching some that happened to some of your friends and colleagues and whatnot, or was this just something the direction you went with?
Well, no, it did happen to me. I was kind of naive and like kind of stupid. Originally, all I wanted to do was to be a lead guitar player in a rock and roll band. So even from the very get-go, from the beginning, I always wrote most everything. Lyrics, music, you know, and I kind of, if you were in the band, even if you just came into the band, you were part of the band. You're in the copyright forms and everything else. So you were like, all right, because that was just me. That's how I thought it worked. Oh, they're in the band, you know, yeah. So it happens that I got screwed a few times, putting it lightly, and then I said, you know, something that screw this, and then. When you signed up to a record company, they own automatically, well, most of the contract, they'll own the masters. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with the master is when something is recorded and mastered, you know, so they own that. And actually, if you ever watch a movie, Ray, he has the record company.
Right.
Yeah, he has a record company for the master. He wants the master, wants to sign, yeah, but I want the masters, you know. So the master are yours automatically when you're the artist, you know. And then unless you have an agreement with them, you know, it's a long process and there's a lot to learn. Something that I wish I would have known a long time ago, you know. I didn't know how it worked. I thought it was like just naive and stupid me that, you know, just play rock and roll, play some really cool, good stuff, play what you love and things are going to happen. Right. Yes, they will, but you have to make other things happen. You have to get like a business savvy. And I was told by so many people, you know, even my own kid used to tell me, you got to like, no, you got to learn this. You're the kid, you know. But so now I had an issue with the management I was with. And I had a consult about 3 attorneys here, another attorney in New York, an international attorney because they're from another country. And they all said to me, like, you can take care of yourself. You really, you know, much more than the average person, than the average musician to take care. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about, you know? And I think that was one of the biggest compliments because it's a lot and it's a pain. It's a pain. It takes away from the creativity part of you and it puts you on the other, make you use the other side of the brain, you know?
Right.
So, but, you know, I'm here now and it's cool. Like I have Witch's Brew out. It almost didn't make it. But I have it all. It's out there, and it's doing very well. You know, getting great reviews. People are loving it.
Right.
I got a funny one. I get a message saying, "Oh, it's a great song," and this and the other thing. Somebody I know for a long time, and he's in the business. He was like, "Isn't the song too long, though?" I go,
"Oh,
well, yeah." So my answer was, "Well, chicks like it long."
There you go.
And that's all I said. You know, that's it. You know, but so yeah, so I do I create art. I'm not accommodating my art to somebody that decided that, the song has to be this land, the chords have to be, it's formula that has to work for years. And you know something? Every time that somebody breaks that formula, it works even great. Like Bohemian Rhapsody, I mean, you name it, Freebird, all these great big songs, they're a lot longer than what they want them to be. They want you like 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes the most, But yeah, you can do that.
What do you think of like a song like Inagata da Vida? That's too long, right? I mean, that's too long. I mean, it is a good song. It's got a great groove, but after a bit, you're like, oh my God.
Well, there's because they don't do one thing. They didn't use a lot of like they didn't go up and down. They usually just kept going, right. And they kept it at that the whole thing. But if they would have used more dynamics, you would never feel it that long. You do one more to keep going. If you make the song excited at one point and then bring it down, so on.
Well, hold on a minute. You're onto something, because I was almost thinking the same thing. I was like, if Santana did that, it'd be a totally different tune.
Yep.
And I'll get to Witch's Brew, because I do have a little bit of a Santana type thing that I heard in that. It's just a great tune. But real quick, you were talking about early on, being naive and getting into the business and learning the business. Did you ever compromise, like, let's say, yourself in the way of like giving somebody undue co-write? You know what I mean? Because I think when you're in a band, sometimes you compromise some of that. And you hear that a lot here recently with a lot of artists getting honest now, going, well, they really didn't write anything, but we gave them credit because they came up with like 2 words or something.
Yeah, I have done that. It's like where somebody else owns a great part of the song, and or half, and you wrote the whole thing. But I have done that. And typically, it's just sometimes the biggest thing the biggest problem is the fear of losing a gig, of losing something. You grab a hold of something finally, and then like Sharon Ashmore with Ozzy and Jake Lee and all these guys. I mean,
right.
I don't like to talk about other people.
Sure.
They got him good.
Oh yeah.
And the guy is a good songwriter, he's a great guitarist. But then I think that credit should be due to who deserves the credit. If you create something, it's yours, you should deserve it. And the person itself should be honest enough to that you're working with to say so. Like, look, you created this, that's yours. Like a long time ago, I have this song that was called I Don't Want to Fall in Love. I recorded, I never released it, but it was recorded with one of my very first band that was Vick out of New Jersey. A whole bunch of great guys, nice people and all this stuff. But the song was recorded by a Peruvian superstar in Spanish. Oh. And he changed the lyrics from English to Spanish. And he changed a lot of the things. I go like, well, I assume that you're going to want some kind of credit because of this. So much you changed. He goes, oh, no, man. He was like, that's your song. That's all yours, And I take that to heart. That was great. That was, an honest person. The other one that's really great is Paul Mancy, who's singing on Witch's Brew. He's like, I go like, well, take your artistic freedom and do what you want to do, as long as you stay within the melody and the lyrics and all this stuff. If you need to change the word to another word that makes you sing more comfortable, that makes it fit better for your vocals, you can do that as well. He goes, yeah, that's cool. That that doesn't mean that you're writing the song or rewriting the song.
Right.
Now, on the other side, I recorded something with someone a long time ago, not that long, but he adapted things like, oh, baby, and this and the other thing, and then he wanted half of the song. I'm like, not going to happen. So there's honest people, and there's people that are like they're out to get whatever they can get their hands on.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
It's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
So you got to become the pit bull.
Yeah, right. Protect what's yours, right?
You have to, yeah.
Yeah.
But go ahead,
And
you want to ask me something?
right. Well, I was going to ask you about the Witch's Brew, because again, man, that's got to be the best tune you've written that I've heard anyway. You probably have a whole bunch in the archives and in the working stages. But what I like about that tune, it's almost kind of like it's Purple, it's Cactus, it's Santana. I mean, it what you were just talking about a few minutes ago about, you know, how it kind of has this, it ebbs and flows, right? Because there's points where I'm like, holy shit, now he's going in this direction, you know? So what was the inspiration for that tune?
I like to jam. I go to places and jam when I'm not busy, right? And I heard this one tiny little bit of a song, and I go like, I like that group, but I would like to take it to a different place, you know? I love Santana. I grew up with Santana, and of course Deep Purple, Jimmy Page, Hendrix, and Jimmy Page, Zeppelin was my main band, and then Deep Purple. So, but I never allow myself to influence myself to a point that I sound just like that guy. Don't ask me to be in a tribute band; it's not going to happen.
Not gonna
I go wait tables, you know. Anyway,
there you go.
But yeah, all those influences come in. And they took place, and all of a sudden, I got this groove on the bass, you know, because I play everything when I write, and I just and then, man, this feels like big, you know. So you know, so then if you listen to a song, you know exactly what I mean.
Right.
And then I did the demo. I sent it to management at the time. The management comes up to me, who you want to record it with? I go like, you tell me. I go like, I have a array of musicians that would love to play this stuff, you know, in a very humble way. And then, so to be honest, they asked me like, well, what's your vision? I go like, well, my vision, I can hear it, but I can't speak to you about it. But I can think of a few players that would fit that vision. So management goes, I have a couple of drummers that we know. You know, one of them played with a band called Mountain a long time ago. And I listened to him and I liked him. I forgot his name. But he's a great drummer. But he was a little bit older, but he was missing something like that raw rock and roll, you know, like craziness that I love in drummers, you know. And then they showed me Russell Gilbrook from Uriah Heep.
Oh yeah.
So they said, you know this guy? I'm like, I don't know much on him, but let me hear it. So I go on YouTube and I saw him live, and I go, man, this guy will be like perfect for whatever he say. He's wild, he's angry, he's hungry. He's like, you know, it's like, I go like, yeah, let's get him. And then it was the bass player thing, and because everything. Someone asked me a long time ago, actually, my son, how do these big bands do it? How do they create these sounds and all stuff? And I said, everything starts with a vision. You have to have a sonic vision, if that's possible, in your head, and then you hear what the band's going to sound like. So, but first, you have to pick individual. Jimmy Page picked everyone individually, you know, and then I need a singer that sounds like this, drum, and so on and so on. So that's exactly what I did. I just used the Zeppelin Blue Book, not a Blue Book, the
Blueprint. Blueprint. Yeah.
Blueprint. Yeah.
Right.
And then so I did, and then what bass player? So we had a few guys, most of them are British, and they play with big bands, and I go like, yeah, that's good. One of them was really good that I almost used them, and he did the recording. And then I'm going like, you know something? When I was little, my first instrument was a cello. And the cello has that smooth, you know, kind of playing. And I go, who could be better than Tony Franklin for this? So, you know, we contacted Tony Franklin. I sent him the songs. He liked them. He gave me a big compliment about the songwriting. And then I said, you know, and he was in. And then once I was looking at Gilbrook, we had this singer that I thought it was all right at first. But then I go and I listen to it carefully and I go, man, this guy has a killer tone. Like he's got the perfect tone. It's like a David Coverdale mixed with Dio-ish, but it sounds like himself, you know, like almost like a Kelly Killing. You know, Kelly's not an outstanding vocalist. By the way, he plays everything, and he plays everything great. Just so you know, I don't know if you know that. But anyway, so Paul, I said, like, let's see if we can get Paul. No, actually, I sent Paul a message on social media. Like, oh, man, do you feel comfortable singing these kind of songs? And I sent him all this, the Blue Moons, Vick LaCar's Blue Moon songs, or some of them, a link with all of them, you know? And he goes, yeah, I can definitely see myself singing that kind of stuff. And bingo, he came in. I love his vocals. He's very, very easy to work with. Very a gentleman, you know, and very, if you give him a vocal line, he will like just cover it exactly. He would not rest. It doesn't take him long, but he would not rest until he gets that vocal line like beautifully. So it worked out beautifully. And once we got everything done, I go like, and Paul and I were talking. He goes, man, are you going to put keyboards on this? This is going to, it'll be great if you can add keyboards. I go like, it's my idea, but I haven't thought about anything yet. And boop, my light bulb went on, you know. I go like, I worked with a great keyboard player years ago in the Blue Moon, Paul Morris, who was with he was with Rainbow, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. He was with the last thing he did was with him on the road, I think, but I think he had some kind of issues in his play, you know. Right. But anyway, so I go like, and Paul is great. Paul, you just give him, you don't even have to produce him that much. You tell him, this is more or less what I want, a beat to be here, but he took it home, and that's what the result is, you know. Then we had a few issues with management. I don't have management anymore, so I'm on my own. So they left everything on the shelves, and I'm like, it's not going to happen, you know. I'm not going to leave this in the shelf. So I took it on my own and to start, you know, mixing it. I sent it to OCD Recording right here in New Orleans. A guy named Dwayne. He does. He worked with like Down bands like that.
Oh, okay.
Crowbar, you know.
Yeah.
But so he does stuff heavy, and I like heavy. I like heavy, but I like melodic at the same time, you know. But and that's it, and the results are there, and so far so good. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
People like which is Brew. Yeah. And I have a few more coming out. Same setup, same recording, same everything. I'm finishing up, and I want to release one song a month for a bit for the year, you know. So the next one is called Solitary Man, which is also a bit longer than the usual. Okay. But not that as I said, I'm not trying to accommodate myself to you know, what other people want instead of myself, you know. So as I said, we have a few surprises, you know, and they sound really good, you know, to me. Yeah. So I'm happy with the outcome right now. I'm happy everything's is so close to my musical vision that makes me happy, you know. It makes you smile. You know.
One of the things that I think when we were just kind of exchanging messages, you did lay that out and say, you know, I just want to do these singles and then see what happens there. I mean, is the thought to collect all the tunes into one package of sorts, so like a CD or a vinyl, or just leave them out there digitally, or what do you think what's the vision at this point? Because I mean, you have complete control over everything.
Yep, and everything from the beginning to now. I think I would like to do vinyl, and I would like to do some kind of a CD after I release everything digital. You know, so I think also once you hit the road, you know, it will be part of the merchandise, because most people don't buy CDs anymore or anything, you know. But I think that people that go to concerts do buy it, you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's in the plans to make a CD, and you know, with this. And the only problem is going to be the cover, because I'm going to do a different cover for every single. So I guess, a collective cover. I'll think of something.
You'll think of something. No, that's a good idea, though. I mean, I think having the physical stuffs, you know, whether it's even kind of a moderate level band, you know, somebody that's in the middle support slot. I mean, it always helps for them to have something for the fans to sign. And anymore, everybody goes out there after their set and meet the fans, sign a few things, move some of the merchandise, some T-shirts. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, Vic, I'd be like, hey, could you sign my iPhone? You know what I mean? If it's all digital, I like I like the physical stuff myself. I mean, I'm still into CDs, and I've been reading stuff about the demand for that getting a little bit of a bump. I mean, hopefully it gets to the point where it's selling a little better. But I totally see why guys like yourself are going, I'm going to try digital first and get the music out there, and then maybe put something together as you hit the road and do some shows and stuff.
Yeah, get results from it first, And now it's just so you have to. When you see these bands that they have like thousands of hits on Spotify or any other platform, and then you go see them live. I know of someone here that he had thousands and thousands of Spotify hits, right? And I went to see him live. There was all I remember seeing is one little girl dancing in the middle of the floor. The place was completely empty.
Well, but worse yet, though, there, Vic, when you even now, some of the legacy bands that are out there, I mean, it's not completely live, and you're like, oh man, that bums me out, because when you saw them like a decade ago or 15 years ago, it was completely live, and you're like, man, those vocals are really pristine. That it's like there's no way they're pulling that off, especially when they you see some things where it's like, wait a minute, they were moving their lips and nothing's happening. You know what I mean?
or something was happening in the literal moment.
The other thing. Yeah. So that's a little bit disappointing. But I think with somebody like yourself, I mean, you could play with just about anybody. I mean, whether it's a blues rock band, a blues artist, a hard rock, a legacy act, you know what I mean? And maybe even with somebody that does some heavier stuff, because of the fact that, I what you said, I think a lot of the influences that you have come through with some of the classic
Actually, it's funny that you said that, because I was listening to Spotify, which is Brew, and Black Label Society came up, with Zach playing, and that's like, man, I go, this stuff is really good. I can see myself doing something that heavy, So, but yeah, and I love the blues.
Sure,
it's like that White Snake song. I love the blues. It tells my story, and that's where we came from. Old rock players. That's where we came from. So yes, I could do that. I actually do a lot of that here in New Orleans, blues, funk, and I did some fusion jazz type of thing, but I don't want to say it, but jazz is cool, but it kind of bores me personally.
Not your thing, not something you're. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
I played jazz when I was a little kid when I first started playing, because my uncle was like, oh, if you're going to play guitar, you got to play jazz, because that's the hardest thing to play. And this kind of thing. So I'm like, all right, so there, well, we're there.
Yeah.
Learning jazz stuff. And I'm like, but after a while, Zeppelin kept poking me in the back. Zeppelin, heavy rock and roll, blues, heavy licks.
Right. So for you, though, what was the first song that you learned to play? I mean, was it? I imagine it was it something jazz? Was it Zeppelin? Was it Purple? I mean, it could be anything. I think
you will never guess, but I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
It's a 25 or 64 by Chicago.
Oh, Chicago of all things, huh?
Yeah. When I heard the guitar solo, I was little. It blew me away. It's like, oh gosh, man, that's like freaking, and not just that, just the riff, the sound, the attitude, everything was like so cool, but that was my first song. And the way I didn't sit down there learning, I just played it.
Yeah.
Automatically, I knew where it went. How? I have no idea. But my uncle used to take me to his band rehearsals when I was little, and they went to a joint outside, I guess, and the guitar player left the guitar there. And I remember a Tedesco, a Japanese guitar, and it was plugged in, everything else. So I just, once they were out there, I just picked it up and started playing it. And when I lift my head up, they're all like looking at me like, oh shit.
And go, what's he doing? He's playing the song. Okay. So it was actually that song. Okay. See,
That song, yeah.
it's interesting because I would have, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't have guessed. I would have thought, well, maybe he learned Stairway to Heaven or Smoke on the Water, or one of those the hit songs, the
Yeah, yeah,
overexposed radio
yeah,
tunes from some of those great classic rock bands. Um,
yeah.
what's the story behind Savage Tribe? Like, what's the
Um,
influence of that one?
on that one, it's definitely a Santana influence.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that played drums, Russell Batiste, rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very, very well known drummer in the New Orleans area, and I just had that feel, So once again, that group, and then go,
Right.
that thing, and
Right.
it just came up to me like, just do it an instrumental, do it like old fashioned rock and roll with all kind of influence, and I just wanted something that sound tribal and wild,
Mm-hmm.
I always like to go back to the roots for one reason. When you lose the roots, you just become firewood. A tree without roots is firewood,
Ah,
nothing but
right.
firewood.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
so I always go to the roots, and especially when you're writing something. So I go to my roots, and my roots were Santana was a great part of my childhood.
Right.
So
Now is Tony Franklin on that one too?
no. The
Not
the bass player from that, it's
Yeah.
Corey Duplashing. He plays with a guy named Tab Benoit.
Okay.
He's pretty big around the area. I don't know how big he's in the rest of the country, but
Sure.
some people would know him. But it's good stuff like power trio, like
Right.
just blues type of thing.
Yeah.
But he's an outstanding bass player. Corey Duplashing is really, really good.
Yeah. It's like a monster groove on that one too.
Oh yeah. So that was just the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
That was a power trio, and I actually after that I did a few live gigs, but there weren't that many, and we called ourselves Smash Hook.
Yeah.
Because it's a mix between Russell Batiste used to call me Smash because when I first came to New Orleans, he asked me to come up and play, and I'm like, okay, I never played this kind of music before. And he goes, man, you were a Smash and this and the thing. He's still like, don't go nowhere, you're natural. And then he hired me to do some fusion stuff with him, But so it's between that and Jolene Turner and myself, years ago, we were starting a band called Hook, which was really funky. It was all funk.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so do a mixture of both things and ourselves, Smash Hook, and that was the name of that band. For a little bit.
Right.
It was fun while it lasted.
Right. Okay. And I know the last time we chatted, I think I threw out Tony Franklin, and you're like, how'd you know? I mean, it was just a lucky guess, I think. But
Yeah.
how did you meet Tony Franklin? I mean, had you known him for a bit, or did you reach out to him? I mean, how did you guys connect?
I just reached out to him a couple of times, and through the years online, and then it finally came a time and place that he would be a part of something. I asked him, then I asked management, and they said, yeah, it's fine. So that's all. That's simple.
That was that simple, huh?
Yeah. Well, I have and enjoyed Tony Franklin's playing for a long time.
Right.
As I said, the cello thing, sort of like affiliated with the fretless bass.
Right.
And now I got a funny one. I do studio work at home for other players as well. So I do guitar. They send me the tracks I play. And one guy that sent me one of his tracks is almost like Dream Theater kind of music, like really technical. So I did a few tracks for him. Then I'm listening to his bass. He's playing this fretless bass, but smoking, and I didn't know. He didn't know anything because I keep quiet until things are out, So what are the odds? All of a sudden, all these fretless bass players are coming along,
Yeah.
which is quite cool,
Sure. Oh, how were you a fan? I mean, I know obviously the Firm and his time there, but what do you think of the Blue Murder record that he was on? I mean, that was pretty big at that time. That kind of music was was kind of on the way out, but that was still a pretty solid record for the time.
Yeah, I think that album was great. I think everything about that album was great. The drums were the way I like. It's like I like drummers that overplay, where they fall like a cat on all four legs every time they, but and that they keep their groove. And Apathy definitely did that. I mean, that was a great record for him. And Tony did his taste, his whole thing in there, and it was amazing, And John Sykes is like, you don't get any better than John Sykes and guitar players, and feel.
Right.
I think we have that was a great loss, but
right.
I think that was a great album, outstanding album. I think he should have stayed with Whitesnake, but that's a whole different show.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
I think David should have tried to get them whatever.
For real.
But that's not for me too.
Right. But you got, I mean, for yourself, I mean, are you bigger fan of Slide It In or the 87 self-titled as far as Sykes in Whitesnake for yourself? I mean, if you were to choose one or the other, or is it really tough?
Well, I Slide It In 87 album. I think they're both outstanding in different. I like the Slide It In in certain ways better because of the sounds were more. They weren't as. They didn't have so much effects and all that stuff. It was a little bit more genuine. A little more.
Right.
I can say genuine. What's the word I'm looking for? Them a little more
raw. Right. It was more stripped down.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I like, but on the 87 album, at first I heard it and I was like, it's doable process. That's the word I was looking. But then I went and listened to it. The vocals are outstanding. David Coverdale has been my favorite singer since I was very, very late, very young, since I heard the first time Burn and Stormbringer. And I've been a fan of him for like the longest time. But, and when he came out with that, prior to that, I don't know, it didn't happen. Then when Side came in, it was sort of like matchmaking heaven, in hell, but ended up not so well.
I mean, that I mean, I kind of lean more towards Slide It In too. And then they have they released the European version versus the US version. I mean, the European version's even more stripped down. I mean, that with Cozy Powell on drums. Oh my God, that's
man.
Yeah, that's an awesome. Awesome.
But there was something missing on that one, which was John Sykes.
Right.
I think for my taste.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think he did add something to the that lineup in the recording, the album. I mean, it is a distinct difference, and again, not as polished as the 87 record, but I like going back and listening to both versions just because it's like, it gives you a little bit of an option, and there it is pretty cool to kind of listen to the changes, right, when you add a new ingredient to the it's good. It's like ear candy, it's like oh wow, this sounds like this sounds pretty cool, that sounds better that way, but music is a language, and it's a feel, it's a hearing it's a feeling that you hear, and it takes you, obviously there are waves and they go all over your body and everything else, and then some of them really line up with you, and then I think the Slide It In and the 87 really did with me, and I'm always looking for something new to listen to, except for myself, because I have very short attention span, so I like to listen to stuff. Yeah.
So, but I can't find anything. So what I do, I write it myself and create it what I want to hear.
That's probably the way to go. Yeah.
Well,
no,
that's
and you're right. I mean, because you do hear all those influences in these tunes, and it's like, wow, that's awesome. It's like you're making classic modern music.
That's a good analysis, and I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. Actually, someone sent me a message with wishing for. Thank you for making the music that nobody makes anymore and that we love, Right. And I'm like, well, that's a big compliment, and that's a great thing to hear. That's just keep adding fuel to my tank.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but
what was the title of the tune that's coming up that you're going to put out there digitally next? What was the title?
So Solitary Man.
Solitary Man. Okay,
Solitary. Yeah,
and
Solitary.
and that's coming out what in May? May is it?
April, May. Yeah, probably towards the end of May.
Somewhere in May.
I have to send it to be.
Well, see, you have complete control. You could say June, June 30th, right? I mean, you're in that position where you run the show. So, no, that's cool.
And I can change my mind.
You can change your mind. I mean, you can go back and go, well, we'll change the vocal, or maybe it'll be an instrumental or something, right? I mean, you have complete control over everything. So
yeah, but no, I'm not going to change the vocals.
You're not going to change it yet. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to change the vocals. I'm not going to change the drum tone, the bass, and the keyboards. I have another friend of mine that's doing the keyboards in this one. His name is Michael T. Ross. He's playing with Aldo Nova right now, but he played with Lita Ford and Hardline, Neil Sean. He played with a lot of people.
Okay.
So really, it's a very close friend of mine. I didn't have any issues with Paul, but just it's all cool. Like sometimes you like it's like painting. You're painting something, and you go like, I need this color over here, so
right.
Don't give brush and that color, and then you paint it with that one.
Sure.
And I think he fits this one a little bit better. Not better, but it's different. It's a bit different. Paul Morris is an outstanding keyboard. I love the way that guy's play. I can just sit there and listen to him play. Paul is almost like a John Lord type of guy. He's his own guy, his own person, and he's
There's another great musician right there.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, once you hear that V3 going through a Marshall, it just grabs you from the get-go,
Yeah, it'll blow your head right off. That was awesome. Yeah, he's a great.
You know what's really
great
cool?
Yeah,
a lot of these older guys, they never played anything live the same way as the record. And some people criticize that, and I love that because you see the rawness and you see a lot of the things that the reality of the song, and which is even cooler, that's why I like to go and play the blues, and I do every week here, but they're hard blues for me.
Sure.
Don't let the blues word fool you. It's still heavy.
Yeah, right,
I still play
right.
hard,
Yeah.
but I love it because it's an improv thing, and it just play by feel, play whatever you feel, And that's how a lot of these guys. I mean, I love the way Blackmore's like doing all this. He looks like a ballerina, some kind of BS.
Yeah.
Guitar
like the Renaissance stuff that he's doing now. Yeah.
Well, that's different, but I think that's really good. I seen him play electric guitar or something not too long ago. He was playing better than ever. Yeah. It's just like so fluent and so great. And the other thing is like that's so important in guitar players, man. Everybody plays licks and scales and modes, but nobody speaks to you. Like that's what Blackmore does. He speaks to you. Gary Moore, they speak to you. Van Halen. Those are like outstanding players, man. It's like, guys,
right.
To reach that level of musician, not just musicianship, because I have this thing that I have said for the longest time. There's a big difference between a musician and an artist. An artist that expresses himself through music is much different than a musician that plays music. One of the most disappointing things in life when I was a kid, it was that I realized, man, everybody and anybody can play guitar, But then what kicked me back into to rebuild my self-esteem was like, well, but none of them create stuff. They're all playing what somebody else played. They still licks from this and that when they put them together. And it's all cool. Now, don't get me wrong. So now the creativity part of the artist is what not everybody has, And it's kind of harsh, but it's how I see it, And with all these years of experience, I think I'm right for some reason, Because it's not, there's not going to be another Hendrix. It's not going to be another Van Halen. It's going to be, what else can you do? It's like, after those two, it's like, what do you do? It's just do your own thing and create your own things. But is anybody going to achieve that point of uniqueness and being just that one person? I don't know. You know, I'm very flattered to have some reviews saying that my playing is a jigsaw of different players that can pinpoint that one who I sound like. And I think that was a great compliment, because I try not to sound like anybody else. You know, if I see myself sounding like someone, I make a right or a left and try to deviate from sounding like that person, you know. But I don't think I do. However,
Right. But I know for yourself, and I know a lot of a lot of artists tend to do that. They'll go, well, we'll just do a cover. That way, well, it'll be something familiar. People will know it, and it'll bring some new listeners, a new audience. For yourself, I mean, you don't seem to be like the type that goes, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a cover at some point. I mean, it just seems like for you, it's all original creativity, right?
yeah. Well, I when I play live here, I do a cover of a Zeppelin song, but it does not sound like Zeppelin.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say that, but it's just, as much as I love Zeppelin, I worship Zeppelin, you know. But it's not, because and someone, a bass player, I show him the song. I record, and he goes, "Well, you're not playing the lick the way the original is." I go like, I know exactly how the lick is played. I know exactly how it goes, and I know how he bends the A string to get that dissonance out of it. And I know the whole thing. But I go, my name is not Jimmy Page. My name is Vick LaCar, and I play what Vick LaCar plays. So I'm an original player. Now, if I get hired by a band, it's a whole different ballgame. You know what I mean? Like I said before, that I can play with major bands and all this stuff. Yeah, then if you have to learn a song exactly the way it is, sure it is. But I have something to bring to somebody else's band music as well,
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. So let me think here. So we covered the tunes, Witch's Brew. I love it. Just the right length, like you said, or just the right length of tunage there. And then also the Savage Tribe, which instantly again goes back to the jam band Santana, in my head. And I was like, well, that's got to be an influence, because I recall, the last couple of times we've spoken, Santana is always kind of crowbarred into the conversation at some point. So we got that, and then the singles, and then you said what Solitary Man is the next one, and that could be end of May. And the plan is to do singles throughout the year and hopefully compile them and get some kind of physical something going on. So
yes,
nice.
They're all recorded already. What I'm doing
ready
is
to go. There you go.
Yeah, final touch-ups, like some guitar, some are pain in the neck when it comes to guitar. Everything's got to be a certain way, and I don't like fixing things in the studio to make that called studio magic. Right. I have done some has been done, but I'd rather be able to give everything to a mixer, like as close as possible to the end products,
Nice.
If I have to tweak a couple of things here and there, I don't mind, but it's not my doing, not my purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at some point now, when it's done, you have to stick with the vision, right? Because then you could ruin it.
Yeah.
You go back and add more stuff to the painting, it'll make it different.
That happens to me all the time. I do art as well. I'm a painter as well.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And I when I'm painting, sometimes I'm painting and all this stuff. Like, what if I add this over here, and then I start adding shade in one part?
Right.
But now the light is coming from here. Now I got to redo the whole damn thing. I have ruined a few good paintings like that.
And I'm sure you've learned from that, right? It's like, well, that's frustrating. So won't be doing that again.
That you'll never learn.
Well, there you go.
No, music is different. Music is there and it's all recorded and it's sent out. So you got to make sure that it's done, But it's like, and I like to leave little clinks and things that are like on certain guitar parts. I don't mind a little clings, a little, guitar, the string sounding and all this stuff. Everything sounds so mechanical and so through the meal, like it could be anybody and anybody. So a lot of that stuff is done by the engineers in the studios. That's just not cool. How can you feel that? You can't feel it. I don't think.
Right.
I don't think so.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my whole thing is stay as raw as possible. If it's a clink, leave it.
Yeah.
That's it. Let
there we go.
let the critics worry about the critics. That's their problem.
Yeah. There you go. No. I was going to say, yeah, I'll make sure we add all your social media stuff on here. That way people can check out the tunes and check out the website and everything, because I think I'm really enjoying Witch's Brew, by the way. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this, I think that's so far to date, I think that's the best tune I've heard. I don't know. Now you got me thinking. Maybe Savage Tribe is, eye to eye with that one. I don't know, but
really, wow.
But I don't know. I'll go back to Witch's Brew. That to me, something about that really grabbed me, and I think it is a longer tune, but I think it's just about the right length. I think you have it at about clocking in a little over 6 minutes or something. I think. So.
Yep. I had a management was sending it to somebody else to mix it, and the guy started talking. All right, I'm gonna shorten it to this, and I'm like, you are not gonna shorten anything. I go next. They wanted to shorten to make the song shorter for radio and all this stuff.
Sure.
So my new saying is this: if a big company want to use it and they want to use certain amount, you can do it. Just what's that movie with Tom Cruise? You can do that if you want to, but show me, what?
Yeah. Show you the money, huh?
Show me the money.
Show you the money.
Show me the money, and I'll shorten it,
Yeah, no kidding.
Unfortunately, it gets to that point, but hopefully not. Hopefully I just, hopefully the song moved by itself, and as it is, and people like it so far. As I said, nothing but good stuff.
Right.
One guy told me that was too long.
Too long.
And I already answered that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, Vic, good conversation. I mean, I'm like, I got to keep track of the time here because I'm like, I got to be doing something else at the top of the hour. But
wow,
you still have a little bit, a couple minutes here. So the one thing, this will be for We Go to 11, and the last time I asked you to think of a Spinal Tap-esque type moment, and I'm going to ask you again. I'm guessing since the last time we spoke, I'm sure other things have happened at some of these gigs or studio recording or something where you had a Spinal Tap type moment happen. Can you think of anything?
Actually, just this week.
No. Go ahead.
I'm playing this. So the people that get up there and jam with us, and then they have this bass player and this drummer that jump on stage to jam with me, and I felt terrible doing this. So I'm giving him the beat. I tell him. So I knew the guy I couldn't tell like, oh, this is a 4/4, 89 BPM. I knew that it was just a regular guy that got up there to jam. But I gave him the song. And I told him do this, do that, and I called the bass player. Look, you're gonna play this chords, nice and just make sure. Gosh, they couldn't get it together, and I'm going like, no. So I go to the microphone. I go, can somebody get me another drummer, another bass player, please?
Oh no!
I felt bad doing it, but
yeah,
it's like I don't mean to embarrass you. Oh no, it's cool. And
yeah,
you guys can get back later,
Yeah.
And then and then I got a friend of mine. He's a good drummer from here, but the house bass player, which is a great bass player as well. But then we did a 50. But that was that's kind of Spinal Tap, but it makes me look like a jerk, And
yeah.
but you can have that because somebody records you doing that. It's going to hit the waves, and I believe that I think humans in general are good. There's a good nature. People are good nature animals, but there is that one evilish thing that they have about like messing with someone, like a really bad picture, a really bad hit, a really bad song, or whatever you do bad on stage, and that will, wall to wall on every platform.
That's the one the one thing they pick up on.
Yeah. And that's pretty mean, but they should pick up on the good stuff. Keep the good vibes going.
Right.
Yeah. As I
Nice.
said, humans are good animals. We are good animals, which is, have to live and be grateful and live in in a grateful place, in a grateful state.
Right.
That's it. But
That's
no, so that's why I did it. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Somebody's going to put this on YouTube,
Sure.
and it's going to mess up my witch's brew.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No.
All right, Vic. Thank you so much.